Hello, my friends, and happy Thursday. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I am, in spite of the snow, and yes, we do have snow today in Wisconsin, but luckily it's melting as we speak. But forget the snow. We are here to celebrate gems as well as flowers, and today's project is inspired by flowers, of course, by lilies, daylilies to be precise. And this project has a little bit of a history, and it's very special to me because actually many years ago I made a necklace which is very similar to the one we're making today. And in fact, I have been wearing it for years. Little did I know that someday I would create a kit inspired by this one. Actually, I can't tell you how many compliments I get on this necklace, and I'm not just saying it to pat myself on the back. I'm just sharing that until now, I couldn't necessarily create a project that does not involve making the actual components. So, you know what I was going to do, and I completely forgot. I was actually going to grab a pod, a daylily pod. Maybe I'll ask Tony to grab me. Every day, just about every Thursday, we forget like one thing. And so Tony's going to grab the daylily pod from my office because, of course, I have so many pods. I'm like the pod queen. And, okay, this one, it needs to be straightened out. So wherever I go, I collect pods. Sometimes I sneak pods from shopping malls. And, when I go to friends' gardens, I ask for pods. The best gift anybody can ever bring me is a pod, of course. Anyway, I love plants. I love pods. And this project is inspired by the beautiful daylily pod, which looks like this. You guys have seen them. I know that if you're in the Midwest, the chances are you probably even have them in your garden. So anyway, this is the story. I know I'm getting a little bit long-winded, but getting to the point now. So this is how this project came about. Many years ago, I made myself this little pod from an actual daylily pod. And this is made with fine silver in the form of clay, so it's a bit of a process. Clearly, it's not something that I could have ever created in quantity. So just really recently, I happened to find these little pods that were cast from an actual pod like this, maybe just a little smaller. So these are cast so beautifully, and I could only get so many. And once we run out, that's it. That's going to be it. We can never really get them again. But look at the amazing texture in these little pods. Oh my gosh. I find these so inspiring and so beautifully created. So I'm super excited about using these with gemstones. I have them in 3 different colorways. We have shades of the ocean right here with the deep blue. We have mountain lake right here, for obvious reasons, with the very kind of a turquoisey light color. And then we have purple iris. Ta-da! And those are our color options.
Fonda says, good evening, everyone. Happy Thursday.
Hi, Fonda, and happy Thursday to you, my friend.
Randy says, the Pod Piper.
Oh, thank you so so much. I will take the Pied Piper. You know, I wish I could just play my little, oh, what is the instrument? Um, Flute. Why was I thinking didgeridoo? No, I'm joking. I'm joking, you guys. So yes, I'm just going to start playing my flute and all little pods are going to follow me.
Debbie says, hey, everyone.
Hi, Debbie.
Fonda says, I have a lot of daylilies in my yard. I can save them for you.
Awesome. Yay. Thank you so much, Fonda. I will take you up on it.
Pammy J says, good evening, Irina, Tony, Lauren, and all.
Hi, Pammy J. So nice to hear from you.
Patricia says, good evening, all.
Hello, Patricia.
Ellen says, hi, Irina and everyone.
Hi, Ellen. Okay, guys, I think we are just going to get started. So again, these are in 3 different colorways. They are already listed in the Etsy shop, and we are going to get started right now.
Vanessa says, hi, everyone.
Hi, Vanessa, and thanks for joining us.
Ellen says, stunning design.
Thank you so much, Ellen. All right, ladies. So in order to make a pod necklace, we need to have a pod, and there it is. And then we have a bead, which I love the shape of these beads. In terms of the hole size, they're not necessarily created for something like this because this is a larger hole. So today, in addition to celebrating our beautiful blooms and gemstones, we're also going to address how to deal with this issue when our hole is a little too large. So that's not really an issue. And then, of course, one of my favorite things in the world is black tourmaline. And we're going to get started.
Kathy H says, hello, everyone, from Helena, Montana.
Hi, Kathy from Montana. I'm so glad you joined us. Okay, ladies, so we are going to be making a wrapped loop, an organic wrapped loop. And so we're going to make a 90-degree angle. This time, because this is a bit of an organic loop, we're making it about 1¼ inches to 1½ inches from the end of the wire. And I am working with my bail making pliers. So we made the 90-degree angle like that. And so now I'm going to make a loop. And my bail making pliers, for anybody who is not quite familiar with it, it has 2 different sides. The one side on my right is a little bit larger. The other side on my left is a little smaller. So for now, I'm using the larger side just because we are creating the focal point and we are making the loop. So this is how I do it. You know, I get so many comments from people who can't get away from making that P-shaped loop. So in order to not have your loops look like a letter P, make sure you stop when you get to this kind of a question mark shape, right? And we have not undone the bend. The bend is our friend. We're going to keep it. And, oh, sorry, this is the wrong side. So normally I don't even take out my pliers and just keep going and creating the loop by wrapping the end around the jaw of the bail making pliers. And at this point, just point it towards yourself as I'm doing and see if it's centered. And if it's not, just go a little further. And there we go. We have a nice little loop. So it's centered like a lollipop. And it's always good to have the wire and at something that resembles a 90-degree angle again. So now we're just going to string our pod into the loop. So again, this is a slightly larger loop so that it can accommodate the bail on the pod pendant. And now I'm going to hold on with my chain nose pliers and just go around twice. When I make organic loops, I do it in two parts. The first part happens right now. The second part happens when the bead or beads are on the wire and we actually have started two loops, and I will explain why in just a moment. But in the meantime, to compensate for that very large hole. Can you guys see? That's a very large hole. It's about 2 millimeters. And so if I simply, okay, let's just pretend. So if I simply string it onto the wire as is, it's never going to sit right. It's going to kind of wibble wobble. And it's, you know, I don't know if you guys can see that, and it's not really ever going to be made well. It's going to be just a little sloppy. So for that reason, I use a little spacer. This is a little metal spacer. It's actually one of those hollow metal seed beads in an 8/0. And we're doing that so that the spacer acts as a stopper on both sides of the large hole.
Lori says, good evening, Irina and Tony.
Hi, Lori. Thank you so much for joining us today. All right, guys, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. We're going to start a loop by making a 90-degree angle. And again, just for the sake of symmetry, we are going to use the large side of the bail making pliers like this. And make sure you keep that 90-degree angle. And we are making another loop. So this is what it looks like. And again, we should have a little space in between for maybe 2 to 3 coils. So they're my coils. And maybe if I do have a little extra room, I might just do another coil on the other side. Okay, so I ended up with about 2.5 coils on both sides. So this is what it looks like when you're making an organic loop. First of all, we have to have all of this in place. So we have to have the loop started. If you start making an organic loop before you have your bead or beads on the wire, it doesn't really work out because there's nothing to stop the wire from moving in the direction where the bead is supposed to be. So it's always good to have your bead on the wire before you turn the direction of the wire and go from the bead to the loop. So on the first, actually, I think this is enough. And you know, I am being just a little sloppy because that is the nature of the organic loop. And it's just that simple. So now we cut off the excess wire and tuck in the and we'll do the same on the remaining loop. So we're going from the bead to the loop, and we are essentially we're just wrapping right over the first set of coils. And the first set of coils is nice and tight, and the second set is actually a little more organic, and that is exactly how I intend it to be. Okay, so this is what I have done so far. All right, and now we are ready to start on the next component. And the next component, actually, no, you know what? Before we start on the next component, let's talk a little bit about our chain. So I'm just going to move all of my necklaces. Just leave one, actually. Okay, so when you open your kit, what you're going to find is this lovely long and short chain.
Trudy says, hello all.
Hi, Trudy.
Lori says, what gauge of wire are you using, please?
Oh, thank you, Lori. Good question. It's 22 gauge wire.
Barb says, good evening all.
Hi, Barb.
Angela says, good evening.
And hello, Angela.
Katie S says, happy Friday. Not sure what's up, but I couldn't get the live feed. We'll have to rewatch the beginning.
Oh, yes, I'm so sorry you couldn't watch it. But, you know, we're somewhat close to the beginning. We haven't done a whole lot yet, and you can rewatch this little part.
She meant happy Thursday.
Oh, you know what?
We're a day ahead too.
I am a day ahead too. Yeah, it didn't even faze me when you said happy Friday. Happy Thursday, and I hope we all have a happy Friday as well. And hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow also, or at least hear from you. But a little more about that later.
Katie says, I love the lily pendant.
Oh, thank you so much, Katie.
Ellen says, what kind of bead is the black banded crackle bead?
The black banded crackle bead. Do you mean which one? Oh, you mean like this one, right?
Maybe.
Okay, so I don't know how your camera picks it up, but it actually is not entirely, it's not really black. But I know it's darker, so it may look black on camera. So it is Tibetan agate, and it's really beautiful. I don't know if you guys can see the detail on this. So it's an agate bead, and the center part of it is kind of a translucent gray with these really beautiful teal lines. And can you guys see the teal lines on top and on the bottom? And so, yes, it is a Tibetan agate bead. And, you know, I will tell you that each one will look just a little differently. And that goes for the purple agate and for the teal agate. There will be some beautiful variations in all of them. For example, these are both teal and they're not exactly alike, but I promise they're all beautiful. I picked them out myself. All right, ladies. So moving right along, we are going to start making another loop. Exactly the same. Oh, no, wait. I kind of lost my train of thought. Before we make any loops at all, let's talk a little bit about our chain. So you are going to get this chain in your kit. And it's a long and short chain. It's a little bit textured. I think it's really lovely. I actually use it for so many different projects because I am very fond of this chain. So you're going to get it in a long piece of about somewhere between 29 and 30 inches. And the first thing you want to do is cut it into 4 pieces. So the first 2 pieces are going to be just 3 links. And of course, if you want to make them a little longer, you can. But this is where they're going. So you decide. You can make them 5 links each or 7 links each. I like 3 because I like a lot of embellishment towards the bottom of my piece. When I make a lot of jewelry that I make for myself is actually in 2 parts, so it's a little different, but I like to, here, I'll just show you because I realize that not everybody's familiar with my jewelry. So I will make some type of a handmade chain that can unclip, and then I can trade it out for a different color chain. So this appetite just happens to go with what I have on today. And my pendant is a separate piece. And so either way, I like a little color added by the beautiful vibrant gemstones fairly close to the focal point piece. So you can see that's going to be fairly close to the bottom of my necklace. There's also a little bit of strategy here, and the strategy has to do with the fact that I love to layer my jewelry. And so this is your one opportunity to create some interest in the longest piece of jewelry you might be wearing that day, because this is a longer necklace. The maximum length of it is about 36 inches. In the description, I believe we said 35, but we always under promise a little bit so that we can over deliver. And so anyway, about cutting the chain into 4 pieces. So I have my 2 little pieces right here, and then the remainder of the chain you can cut either into 2 equal pieces, or you can cut them so that there are maybe 2 here. I'm trying to lay it out so that you can see the difference in length. So I like to cut it so that my 2 lengths of chain are, one of them is about 2 inches longer than the other. And the longer piece becomes your extender chain. And you can literally just link into any of these links with your lobster clasp. Well, we'll do that when we're just about done. So either way, 2 of my pieces are 3 links a piece, and the remainder is cut into 2 segments that vary by 2 to 3 inches.
Ellen says, oh, that bead is very unique. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Ellen, for asking.
Kim K says, hi, everyone. Happy Thursday. Hope everyone is well.
Oh, hi, Kim, and thank you so much. Yes, everyone is well indeed, and I hope you guys are all doing great also. Okay, so now that we've talked about the chain, let's continue. So we are going to make another loop just as the first. So again, we're starting approximately 1 1/4 inches from the end of the wire. And I made a 90-degree angle. I'm now making the loop. I'm making certain that the loop is centered. And now we're going to slide our previously made loop into the new loop and continue to make our 2 coils. And just as before, for continuity, we're going to use our little spacers, and this time I am stringing the beautiful black tourmaline. You know, the reason I'm so into black tourmaline is because I just love the natural shape of the stone. It's really so hard to believe that this perfect, well, it's an imperfectly perfect shape. And this is exactly how it comes out of the ground. These stripes on the stone and the triangular shape. This is a natural black tourmaline crystal. So that is really, really cool. Okay, ladies. And so now we want to really affix this in place so that our wire does not move around. And we're going to make our loops nice and snug. And I am starting the next loop. And this is the final loop of our focal point piece. And before we start coiling the wire on this loop, what we'll do is we will string our 2 segments of chain, those short little segments, 3 links a piece, or I should say 5, technically it's 5 links a piece, because if you count the little links, then it makes 5. And now that we have our chain inside the loop, we can just go ahead and continue coiling. So I have coiled my 2 coils going towards the bead, and now I turn and go in the other direction, going right over the first set of coils. Make them nice and snug and cut off the excess wire. And we always want to tuck the wire in so that we don't poke somebody with the wire or ourselves. And we're going to do the same exact thing for the remaining loop. And again, cut off the excess wire. All right, so this is our focal point piece. And now we're going to continue. So as part of our chain, we're using smaller beads. And for this particular colorway, this is the Shades of Ocean colorway, we are going to be using the beautiful apatite beads for our chain.
Pammy J says you make the neatest messy wraps.
Oh, thank you so much, Pammy J. And now you can too, because you've seen me do it, I don't know how many times. Okay, guys, so I'm going to, again, make a 90-degree angle. And my loops in the chain right here, they're actually not messy loops. So I'm kind of done with the messy loops for this project. All of my other loops are going to be kind of dainty, only because I'm moving on to smaller size beads, and I just don't want the organic nature of the loops to take away from the beauty of those little gemstones. So now we only need about 1 inch from the end when we make our 90-degree angle. Okay, so if you're making regular loops, you really don't need more than 1 inch. And I'm also moving on to the smaller side of my bail making pliers. And again, a little bit more about the bail making pliers. So of course you could be making this project with a round nose pliers, absolutely. But if you like the idea of very consistently shaped and sized loops, this is really the way to go. And I believe we do have these in the Etsy shop. Okay, ladies, so using the small side of the bail making pliers, I'm starting the loop, and there you go. So the first half of the loop is made with the tool, the second half of the loop is made around the tool, and we'll do this again, so I'll break it down even more. And now we simply string the chain into the loop before we coil it twice.
Allie says, hi, Irina and Tony. Such a nice way to use larger beads with chain.
Hi, Allie, and thank you so much. Okay, ladies, so because we are not making those messy loops right now, I'm just clipping the excess wire off as I go. So the only time I don't do this right away is when I'm creating organic loops. So we string our bead onto the loop and we make another 90-degree angle. I know you guys have seen this a million times. But because this video is the only set of directions for this project, I always make sure to include every step that it takes to complete this project. Okay, guys, so again, I'm going to hold on to the loop and wrap right into that little opening that I just made. And we're going to cut off the excess wire and tuck in that little end. Okay, we'll just do one more loop and then we'll move on to a different step. Okay, ladies, just to break down the loops for anybody who is new to loops. So again, we start with about the length of 1 inch from the end. We make a 90-degree angle. And when you start your loop, you start it with, you see how I'm moving the tool, right? Once I get to that question mark, I'm no longer making it with the tool, with the bail making pliers, but rather I take the end of the wire, I cross over, and now I see if it's a little bit off center, I might just roll it towards myself a little bit. But the second part of the loop, for the most part, is made by wrapping the wire around the tool. It's not the only way to make the loop, but for me, it's the easiest way to make the loop. If you have a different way that you do this, then by all means, if it's working for you, do it the way it works.
Barb says a section of beaded chain would work too.
Indeed, except for this project, we're actually making our own beaded chain. So this, in fact, is beaded chain, but if you wanted to, you could certainly use a section of a commercial beaded chain. It's probably not going to be quite as consistent as far as loops, but it can actually be really, really pretty. In fact, you know what? It occurred to me, I have not shown beaded chain in quite a while. Maybe I'll have to do that for one of the Friday videos. What do you guys think? Like, you know, I mean, okay, so it's definitely a great time saver if you want to use beaded chain for something like this. The advantage, of course, of making your own beaded chain is that you can use any gemstone you want, as opposed to what is already available in a beaded chain. Okay, so we are just going to continue making our wrap loops just like this. And here are my little wrap loops. And of course, through the magic of Facebook Live, check this out. We already have all of our little wrapped loops made into a handmade chain.
Allison says beaded chain would be fun to learn.
Awesome, Allison, we're doing it right now. What a great idea. I love it. And I hope you are doing well, my friend.
Barb says you have so many options for beaded chain in the store.
Oh, yes, we do. Absolutely. We have so many beautiful options for beaded chain. That's why I thought maybe I'll show it one of these Fridays, maybe even next Friday. Who knows? It will be a surprise, you guys. Okay, guys. So, but you know what? Actually, Allison, that's a really great idea because making beaded chain is not always the same. In fact, I do so many different styles of beaded chain. This is actually the easiest one or the simplest one. But maybe one of these days we'll have to make some beaded chain as maybe in a form of a what? A bracelet. Maybe a bracelet, right? Does that sound like fun? Or maybe even a focal point for a necklace if we make it just a little bit fancy. Okay, ladies, so as you saw through the magic of Facebook Live, we have our chain just about finished. We have 7 beads on each side. And these are, or at least the apatite beads are about 4 millimeter round. And we are going to find, okay, I just found it. We're going to find our remaining 2 segments of our long and short chain. We're going to string both segments into the beaded chain, 1 on each side. We'll figure out which one is longer and which one is shorter in just a moment.
Allison says, all would be fun. I want all of these.
Oh, yay! Thank you, Allison. So now, you know what? I don't actually know why I did not cut off the little ends, but you know what? We'll just cut them all off at the same time, and we'll save a little time that way. And so I am just wrapping into that little space we left, and we'll do that on both sides. And so we are actually only using 1 jump ring in this necklace. So most connections are made simply by creating wrap loops. Okay, ladies, so now I'm going to cut off all of those little ends. And as I cut them off, I'm just going to pinch them in. Always we want to do this so that we're not making weapons and torture devices, because it can be very unpleasant to be poked by a 22 gauge wire. I'm sure you guys have experienced that maybe once or twice. And again, I'm just going to pinch the little ends in. Okay, done. So now we just have to finish this necklace. And before we do that, we're going to line up the 2 ends of our chain and figure out which one is the longer one and which one is the shorter one. And I'm just doing a little deconstruction here. Okay, so I'm going to line these up. And so we have our long end and we have our short end. So we always want to put our clasp on the short end, because our long end becomes an extender chain. And this is such a practical way to do it, you guys. So my jump ring is already a little bit opened. Maybe I'll open it just a tiny bit more using my chain nose and my flat nose pliers. And again, we're attaching this to the short end of the necklace. Here goes our lobster clasp. And we are going to close the jump ring. And we want to hear that little bit of a click so that we are sure that it's well closed. So I'm doing a little overlapping, and we'll just squeeze, and there goes that click.
Katie S. says, hard to choose. I like the Tibetan agate, but black tourmaline is such a cool mineral. I'm hoping to find some when I visit Maine in June.
Ooh, I didn't know that, or maybe I did know that they have, they have so many cool minerals in Maine. Did I ever tell you guys about the time we had to buy an extra piece of luggage just because we found so many cool rocks? So, okay, before I tell you the story, I will just tell you that the only thing we have left to do is make our little baubles, and this is what it's going to look like. So I always like to add a little interest to the end of our extender chain. So this is the mountain lake variation. And as you can see, I have just 3 little beads at the end of the chain. So we're going to do the same thing with this.
Katie says tourmaline is their state mineral.
Oh, fantastic. That's wonderful. Okay, ladies. So I'm going to make a 90-degree angle. And this is what it looks like. And now I'm going to use my bail making pliers and start a loop. Again, cross over and make the second half of the loop by hand. And now we're simply going to string this onto the chain, the end of our chain rather. And this is exactly the same as making a 2-loop component, except the other side of the component is just a little ball pin. So once you wrapped into that little space we left, we're just going to remove the excess wire. We're going to cut it off and pinch it in. And I suppose we could just leave it at 1 little bauble, except I think it's just too little. It wants friends. So again, through the magic of Facebook Live, I have already created the loops, and I'm just going to add these to our chain, and then we're going to wrap them as well. So in the meantime, I'll just tell you, once we were in Maine and we went to this really beautiful beach, and it was such a moody day. It was foggy and moody and so beautiful. And we found these really awesome rocks, and they were huge. And you know, guys, I was not leaving Maine without those rocks. So we bought another piece of luggage. And I have to tell you, I have never purchased a piece of luggage for knickknacks. But for rocks, absolutely, yes. And of course, we still have those rocks. We enjoy them. They're really cool. In fact, I think maybe you guys have seen some of them. They're big rocks, and Tony does some of the photography. When you see previews of different projects, sometimes he will use those rocks as props. So that's a really good memory.
Katie S. is laughing.
Yay! So some really nice variation here of the apatite beads. It comes in so many different colors, as you guys can see, and I do love all the different shades, hence the name Shades of Ocean. And so we just finished. We've been chatting and it's done. So I'm just going to tell you about all the different stones that we have in these necklaces. As we have already mentioned, we have so this is dyed agate, and I do love natural stones, but I have to say sometimes I really enjoy those dyed stones because they come in such gorgeous colors. So we have the dyed agate, that's a really rich dark teal. We have the black tourmaline, and of course the beautiful apatite. Then next we have again dyed agate, and this time it's dyed purple. Then we have our natural chevron amethyst. I think you can see a little bit of that chevron pattern, not actually really well on this one. On some of them you can see it a little better, but either way, this is amethyst. And then a little more amethyst in the body of the chain. And this is what the bauble looks like. And then I feel like our mountain lake colorway is just a little bit not like the others because, well, first of all, we have the Tibetan agate in this one. And this is kind of a much more summery variation, I think. So we have Tibetan agate at the bottom. Then we have a really gorgeous, really vivid amazonite. And then some very light turquoise dyed magnesite. And it's beautiful. You know, I know that some of us are purists and, you know, you'd rather have the real deal, except then it would be like $1,000,000. And so I think that this magnesite is just so pretty without breaking the bank. And that's what we have for colorways. And then, of course, as per our usual thing, I guess, I have some previews and some announcements. So tomorrow, if and when, I'm just going to say tomorrow when you join me for the shopping event, I have some spring and summer inspired strands of freshwater pearls and copper edged turquoise, and there's just so much more. So the theme kind of started out as spring and summer, and that was suggested by you ladies, and I thank you so much for your suggestions, and please do keep them coming. If you do think of something that would be really fun to feature, let me know and I will do it. And so then I'm also featuring some of these really cool hand-carved beads. So these could be spring, they could be fall, it kind of all depends on what you pair them with. And there are just so many other really, really fun and wonderful surprises. But wait.
That's on the Eclectica Facebook page tomorrow at 9 a.m. CST.
Yes, I'm so excited. I forgot to tell you that, but you guys already knew that. So again, tomorrow, 9 o'clock CST on the Eclectica Facebook page. Or what Tony said.
Vanessa says, there goes my wallet again.
Well, Vanessa, I'm glad you're getting excited. I'm super excited. And then next Thursday, April 11th, I'm going to be doing a little tutorial on knotting. And these are all knotted. And this is going to be called Luminous Pearl Bracelet. So again, this is just all about knotting, and it's a very, very simple little bracelet. I think it's simple, but very elegant. And I have to tell you why I designed it. Because I kept thinking, I need a little pearl bracelet so that I can wear it with all my other bracelets and kind of break up the different patterns and colors. I need something that just sort of divides it and shows it off. And so I'm super, super excited about these.
Allie says, woohoo, pearls.
Yay! Are you excited about pearls? You know, pearls are so hot right now. It's ridiculous how hot pearls are. I mean, everybody's wearing pearls these days. Even men are wearing pearls.
Barb says, I used to dread knotting, but it looks so neat and practice helps.
Yay! You know what, Barb? And that is the key. Practice is always the key. And I will obviously show you how I do it. And I love knotting. It's one of my favorite things to do. It just makes me feel at peace. It makes me feel so zen. And I just think it's so enjoyable and so, so relaxing. And so I hope you guys join me for the knotted bracelets. And do you guys think we should make some necklaces as well? I'm still debating. I guess maybe we'll make like, I don't know. Do you guys think we should make a necklace, or just, are we happy with just bracelets?
Kathy H says, I love pearls too.
Yay, Kathy, pearls, woohoo.
Kim C says, what a lovely size pearl in that bracelet.
Thank you so much. So there are actually a couple of different sizes. You know, pearls are natural and you don't always get the same exact size in everything. So the white one is just a little bit larger, but you know, overall they're kind of almost the same size. And so there are three different colorways. They're very subtle, they're very springy, they're kind of delicate, but they really go with all the other bracelets that I have been making.
Diana says yes to necklaces too.
Oh, yay! Awesome.
Allison says pearl necklaces, yes.
Cool, we're doing it.
Karen says, I love knotted pearls.
Oh, yay! Me too. Thank you, Karen.
Fonda says, every lady needs a pearl necklace to match her bracelet.
I agree. And you know what? People used to think that, oh, pearls are just for grannies, and not that there's anything wrong with grannies. We love grannies. One of these days, well, years, I would love to be a granny. They'll be like the best thing in the world. But, you know, pearls they're hot. They are
timeless.
They're timeless, but they're also extremely in fashion right now. So I think we all need pearls.
Allie says yes to necklaces.
Yay! Thank you, Allie.
Althea says, you are so good at unique designs, so a necklace would be fun.
Thank you so much, Althea. So, you know, I'm actually thinking something very simple with the pearls because, well, again, I'm so much about layering, and I think it's fun to layer a very simply knotted string of pearls with some maybe more elaborately created necklaces.
Ellen says, just ordered the banded agate. Stunning design.
Yay, Ellen! That's awesome. Which one? Did you order the teal or the purple?
And Diana says, I've always loved pearls.
Awesome. Okay, you guys, and I have to tell you again about something that is coming up. It's an event that I'm super, super excited about. So we are going to be doing a bead show in Michigan. It's just kind of a smaller bead show. It's a very boutique-y kind of bead show. It's us and a few friends. So I believe it's 7 vendors all together. And it's going to be at the Sheridan in Novi, Michigan on May 4th and 5th. So if you live in Michigan, or maybe in a state adjacent to Michigan, and you want to come and visit, we would love to see you.
Karen says, I ordered the teal and tourmaline.
Oh, awesome. I think that may be my favorite. Although, you know, I will say that, and then the next minute I'm like, no, it's this one that's my favorite. And then 5 minutes later, it's this one that's my favorite. So, you know, they're all my babies. If I didn't love them, I would not have designed them.
Ellen says, I ordered the crackle bead with the blue Amazonite.
Awesome. I think that's, okay, I will commit to this one. This one with the Amazonite and the Tibetan bead, it is my absolute favorite for spring and summer. And, but overall, I think you can just pick your favorite color and make that your favorite and love it. Give it a good home.
Fonda says I had a hard time picking a favorite.
Oh, yay. Which one did you pick, Fonda? I mean, it always makes me happy when people are like, oh, I had a hard time picking my favorite because, well, you know, I have a hard time picking my favorite too.
Fonda ordered the purple one.
Boat. All right, purple's good. Okay, ladies, so this has been great fun. Keep thinking about those ideas for future videos, both for the projects. I love your suggestions. I rely on your comments and suggestions. And then I will see you tomorrow. Oh yes, I was going to say also for the Friday videos too, if there is something that you would like to see in the shopping events, let me know. You know where to find me. Okay, guys, and I believe Tony says
Barb
we
says,
have a comment.
thanks for another great project.
Thank you so much, Barb.
And Kim K says it's a hard choice. They're all so beautiful.
Thank you so much, Kim. And thank you so much, everybody, for watching, for your awesome comments. And I will see you tomorrow morning. In the meantime, have a wonderful and creative evening.